Hello, hello, lovely people. Welcome to another episode of the DevRel Show. This is episode number 55. Always happy to be here. I mean, I'm so happy to be here because, I'm going on vacation after tomorrow. And you know how it is when you go on vacation, you pay the price before and after because there's so many things to do before, there's so many things to do when you come back. And now I'm super swamped, but it's so nice to be able to take about an hour of my time of like everything I need to do the DevRel show today. So hopefully also I'm going to survive this one because it's really hot right now. So I have my ceiling fan, but I don't think it's getting a great job. I also opened the window, which I don't do anymore usually during live stream. But if you see me sweat, it's not because like our guest is showcasing things that I don't want to hear about. It's just because it's a little bit hot right now. I really, really need to, get an AC. I have one like those portable one, but it makes so much noise. And since I moved to the house, I used to have like a wall mounted one where I was before. But yeah, anyway. I'm not here to talk about my personal life. Just wanted to share a little bit the frustration of like a hot day without AC. Maybe, I don't know, I'm a princess something. But if you see me sweat, understand why. So on that note, always amazing guest. Today's no different. Gabriel, how are you?
Good. How are you, Fred? Thanks for hosting me. I think it's a pleasure to be here. It's been some time. I'm following the show, I think, since it's a early episode, and yeah, it's an honor to be here.
That's amazing. So thanks for being a guest. And I always apologize to people because I was not expecting that show to be popular in terms of at least guests. Like, I don't think it's doing like as good as it could in terms of views, but I don't put that much effort in like putting hats and stuff because my goal is to have fun. And like, if there's like a couple of 100 views, I'm happy for the guest. But for my point of view, it's more like the time I spend with a guest. But there's like a lot of interest right now, and unfortunately, it can take time now to want someone either shown interest to be a guest, or sometimes I see someone working in DevRel and say like, "Hey, would you like to be a guest?" And I had them to the wait list, and it takes some time for people to be on the show. So thanks for being patient. Amazing to have you here. And people, I don't know. I think my camera is better now. I did some tests. Last DevRel show, I was in slow motion. I think I'm still a little bit in slow motion. So I really need to see what's happening. I bought a DSLR to like have a better quality of my image, and the quality is better. But I feel like I'm a little bit in slow motion when I'm talking. So sorry about that. I'm still working on it. It doesn't matter. It's a DevRel show. It's my show. It's imperfect. You still hear me correctly. So anyway, sorry also about that, Gabriel, if that happened. But with that said, though, who are you?
Yeah, I think who are me is a question that I'm asking myself a lot lately because, I think one of the good things that happened in my career in the last years is with AI, it became important to be a domain expert because everyone can be a coder now. You can open Claude Code and do whatever you want. And the thing is that developer now required to be expert in some domains. And luckily, 3.5 years ago, or mostly actually 4 years ago, I started to look around. I've been, for many years, I've been a software engineer, technical leader, principal engineer, like the usual route. And then I was like relevant word for that is engineer. And as I said, since 2015, I used to work around access control. So in 2015, I joined Cisco to work on a product called Cisco ICE that do authentication, authorization, and accounting for network. So I really know how authentication works. Like authentication is verifying the user identity, authorization is check what it can do. And accounting or audit is, of course, seeing that after and understand what they did. In 2017, I was one of the early adopters of OPA, Open Policy Agent. So I'm also became part of the community, of the open source community. At Cisco, I also contributed, I was part of committees for the IETF and other standards, because, when you're in a corporate, you need to find like fancy words for what you're doing. So we tried to make protocols from some solution we did, started to work on a patent there. So I really became part of the access control and mainly authorization community. Then I work at Palo Alto Network and also as a principal engineer, and my thing was the authentication authorization beside web performance, which is also, I think, as a developer, I really like solve performance issues because, it's like having a riddle and then you have like whole night to understand how you can shorten just a little decision or something like that. But and then I joined another startup to work at the at the CTO office. So I really like part of the authorization community. So, and I just got into a position that allowed me to take my advantages. As the title that I got, it was less creating, I don't know, paid campaigns or stuff like that. Of course, there were the cool stuff of having very like cool booth at conferences, which is I'm very proud of, or 2 cases of people. Actually, this one, I think, is a really fine story. I'm jumping because a lot of stuff, but there were like we've been before a conference. We start to look after cool swag, and then I'm very non-developer. As at the DevRel, I'm using like the Mac keyboard. I don't have a mechanic keyboard. I'm using light mode.
Hey, my friend.
Yeah. I'm using light mode in Claude Code, for example.
This one though,
in
no.
code editors, I'm with dark mode, but I'm not like a dark mode enthusiastic. I'm also good with light. It's fine with me in some interfaces, and but we need to give something for developers. So we're like, okay, let's do branded mechanical keyboards. And I found like a workshop I think in Malaysia that do very cool stuff. And I was like, hey, maybe we can do 20 keyboards for us. And they were like, I'm not sure that we can get that, but if you'll give me 2 weeks, I'll do that, because they will like mostly everything by hand. It was really cool. And then he asked me what I'm doing. And I'm telling him, look, I'm working for developers. It's my job. And we're giving it as a swag. And today he's working with Microsoft Cursor, Anthropic. Like, it became a huge workshop for a customized mechanical keyboard for developers. He got it. Like, it blows up. Like, I wish Permit has the growth that he has with the keyboard. So not the same business, and he doesn't get VC behind his back. But I really like Phil, that I developed him. And another thing is that we develop around Permit a community of open source contributors and people that, who like to write. We've been a small team, so we outsource a lot of writing and technical guidance. And we had this one, like, you got tons of email from people, hey, I wrote an article for you, maybe you want to work together and stuff like that. Every different person know that. One of them look really good to me. Like, you were like shine out of the others in the way that he tell the story and etc. And I was like, okay, let's work together. And today he has a studio, and he actually has 10 internal writers, and he works like with the biggest logo around. So I think as a DevRel, you can really influence creative things and create opportunities for other. Traditionally, DevRel create a lot of opportunities for people to enter to tech, to enter to software development. So people who can tell a good story have this access, or people that are good in marketing and want to do that for developers and open to listen. They can get access to more engineering so-called jobs. But anyway, we develop a very good organic growth machine for Permit that were basically mainly based on content, on technical content. At I think the best month that we had more than 50 signups, organic signups to our platform, to Permit.io platform, and all of that came from articles. So our main, like 80% of our work were around creating technical how-tos, but not as a standalone technical guides, because you also, so for example, think about authorization. So you have many, like the synonyms there, like RBAC that everyone knows, role-based access control, but you also have ABAC, which is attribute-based access control, that you give policies by attributes of users and resources. For example, you say a user that their location is, for example, Canada, then they can access to documents with the location attributed to Canada. And then there is relationship-based access control, which is very popular now. The most simple example for that is that if a user has access to a folder, then they can also see the files in that folder, right? So by the relationship, you determine the permission for a user. And when you do technical guides, like how-to guide, step-by-step guide, and you link that into the more thought leadership, into the more general guide, then you get a good domain authority. And this is what we built at Permit. And we built a whole organic content machine that drive really results. And I think one of the things that differentiate DevRel people from marketing people is the DevRel as developers, they thrive to get real results. They try to get like results that you can attribute. For many marketing people, which I think it's a good at some sort, because this is how you build stuff, they can be very happy with vanity metrics, right? So for example, today I'm working with a couple of customers as an advisor for developer go-to-market. And I ran like influencer campaigns from one of them. And we did a launch, and then we did a very, I wouldn't say cheap, but a lot of influencers shared their posts on LinkedIn. And one of them is working somewhere that were very, very relevant for the company. But this guy, he just have this large LinkedIn account and just throw you whatever you give him. You don't really get like it is not the real calories you want. It's completely empty calories. But for the couple of hundreds of dollars that it costs, it's good to be there, because then, you bloat everything and you get some attention. And the CEO were like, from all what we did, like from all the results we did, this is what bought me. Like he sent this, like, I can't believe that someone from this company shared about us. And I'm like, and he said like there is 60 likes, and I'm seeing the likes. None of the engagement point at the post were relevant for the companies. And as developers, because we know how to measure stuff. We like when you do like performance improvement, when you do like things in software and engineering, you need numbers, you need to drive results. And I think a good DevRel person is someone that knows to put the results beside what they are doing. I think there's always friction in DevRel that people say, hey, you need to invest in content, you need to invest, I don't know, in conference talks, you need to invest in influencer, whatever it is, and at some point you will see the result. But I think that a very good DevRel person they also take the engineering part to that. They also show the result. They show in the dashboard. They show the monitoring. They show how they work, how their content, how the relationship, how the community is actually correlated with the numbers. Either the numbers, is revenue, is signups, is accounts, whatever it is. But they need to develop that monitor. The fact that you are not doing software in production, but you do community in production, doesn't mean that you don't need to have the dashboard, like your Grafana that say, hey, all our users is right, the pipeline is work, the funnel is work. We are not just investing in top funnel, but we don't know how it's going to the bottom of the funnel. And I think here, I really bring my engineering thing to the need, to see the results and understand how they actually deliver something, and not just, hey, it's really fun to be at a different conference every day.
Yeah, no, you need a great intro, real great intro. Yeah, you deserve a sip of water. Great intro. So many things. I agree that like we need to show the value. It's not always easy to show the value of what we do, because sometimes the impact's going to be medium to long term, because we're working with human, we're building relationship. But like as you said, like we need to be able to show that like what we do bring value to the business, and it's a fun job. Not always, but most of the time, from my point of view. I've been doing that for a long time, so I'm still here. So I guess I have fun, but. I need to justify my paycheck too. Like I need to be able to tell the people that hire me, like, hey, this is why you pay me money. This is like the result that I bring to the table. Two things for you. First, I really want to get your contact about the mechanical keyboard, because I know I was like Team Gabriel with my Apple keyboard earlier. And the reason why is that like I like mechanical keyboard, but I live in Quebec in Canada, and my first language is French, and I'm bilingual. I speak English too. So I use a specific keyboard that is a Canadian French layout, which has like French accent for some keys, but also is closer to like an English keyboard. So it's a keyboard that exists only for us because also it's QWERTY. Like the French people in France is going to use a ZERTY keyboard. So Apple make it, and I'm surprised and I'm happy for that. But like there is no mechanical keyboard with the exact layout that I need. So at some point I was like, I don't really want like a mechanical keyboard to the point that like I'm gonna like build one myself, and I'm not that like good with. I'm not a manual person. I'm a real tech guy who like will do tech stuff, and like I don't know. I'm coding and I'm good, but I was like, and do I want to invest the time to do that? But like if I can find someone that can help me like build something customized, I would probably love to do that because yeah, I'm the kind of person who put dark theme everywhere and would love to have a mechanical keyboard, but I can't because they do not exist with the Canadian French layout. So anyway, was just saying that. So at some point we can talk about that after the show. But like, yeah, I would like to see if there's an opportunity there.
Absolutely. So I'll send you. Actually, already sent you the link to the company. And also, this is the CEO that you can always reach out. He likes to get people that say Gabriel sent.
Wonderful, but you know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna share the link. Maybe not. This is not what I wanted to do. Now it's everywhere, but I wanted to create a banner with it and just show it to people. So if I'm not the only one, that's gonna make promotion for them. If I'm not the only one who want like custom mechanical keyboard, go check that website. We have the Gabriel seal of approval for that, so we'll do that. And yes,
very good job.
I'll connect with them because maybe there is something to do for Canadian French people, and I would love to have that. So thanks for sharing. Really appreciate that. Which brings me to the other thing that I wanted to bring for everything you said earlier, kind of like at the beginning and when you started to introduce yourself and some of the things you've done. One of the things, and it was related to the mechanical keyboard and other stuff, but one of the things you mentioned is how you can empower people, you have an influence. And I think it's important part of our job is like there's a lot of people approaching developer relation as like, oh yeah, I need to get people to talk about my company all the time, and I don't need to get people to write blog posts about my stuff. I need to get the developers to share the love about my product, and like it's fine. It's part of the job to try to grow a community and to try to get enthusiast or MVP or expert or whatever you want to call that, like building a what I would call virtual evangelist or virtual developer advocates, so people that are not employed but they like your product so much they want to talk about it. But I think it's also a two-way street. Like it needs to be a win-win situation. And then like I cannot be out there and like being paid by the company and ask people to do things for free. So what I like a part of what I do, maybe not daily, but like as much as I can, is try to put people in contact and promote other people's stuff. And I'm not even looking forward for you to do something for TinyMC, my employer, my product. I'm just like, hey, I'm going to do that because I like to think I'm a good person. People that know me tell me if I'm right. But also, I think it's kind of like part of the job. Like I'm here, like all over those years, I've grown a really good network. I got some visibility. There are people that have more visibility than me, but there are people that have less visibility. But I think like I need to use that visibility and that network to help other people, not just for me, not just for my employer. And I think that by doing that, it's part of DevRel. And maybe at some point that may or may not come back. But like if it comes back, people will say like, hey, Fred from TinyMC helps me to find a job or helps me to get in contact with someone that helps me with XYZ. I think it's beneficial for the company that employs us or the company that we're building. So yeah, I don't think I have a question. I just wanted to add my comments and like I think it's important.
I think here you bring like a very, I think, important point, because for me, getting into DevRel were part of being like out of my comfort zone. I'm very like introvert person. I like always people approaching me, like I can be at a stage of a conference, like giving a talk, and I'm good at work, like standing on a stage and giving my thing and telling the stories. I live for that. But if you like find me one-on-one, I'm really hard, to develop discussion. I'm really bad at, for example, small talk. And for me, like being on the DevRel, being on the front, like having myself at the morning of a conference, like waking up, taking out from bed and taking myself to be with people for a long day is a task that is not always easy for me. Like every time I'm at a conference, I need the day after to be completely alone. Like I tell the team, hey, today it's like our own day. Find what you do. Like sometimes because I'm living in Israel and I'm many conferences in the US, and I'm really trying to not be a weekend at home. So for me, like the long flight is really the time that I need. So many times I'm telling my team, I don't have any team member in Israel, but I have team members in Europe, and I'm telling them, hey, let's not, like, very nice, let's not come back in the same flight. I need the flight time for myself. I need to be alone. I need to like recharge my social battery. And like developer relations really take me into places that I haven't reached without being there, because like I'm very in myself without being out of my comfort zone. I think I'm a kind of good people manager. This is at least what the people that I manage tell me. And I'm also a good leader, and I know how to communicate. I know how to explain, but I need like to earn my confidence with people. If I don't know that the people that I'm speak with, have like some sort of appreciation to what I'm saying, it's really hard for me, to come out and bring what I have. When I'm on stage, I'm good because they accept my CFP and they say your story is good for us, and they saw like probably previous stories. But for example, like if I'm just in a bar or in a restaurant or like in the speaker dinner, I need people to come to me. I need people to come to say, hey, I know you, you're leading permit. And DevRel really took me out of my comfort zone and developed a way that I'm now approaching people. I'm now can, develop a social like social interactions with people that were hard for me before getting into DevRel. And I think this one, I see sometimes, in Twitter and LinkedIn that people share about that. They share about like the two personalities that I have. And they were like, hey, don't be a fan of me if after my talk, you just saw me at the hallway of the conference and I didn't like nice as I would look like in the on the stage and stuff like that. So I think also for ourselves, not for people, that want to get into more engineering and stuff like that, it's really bring us as engineers into places that I think important in life, right? It's important to be friendly. It's important to be social. And to the community and the connection part, it is also something, that many of us, and I think it's important to put us, many in engineering as some sort, of ASD and stuff like that. And being like the connectors for some people that not look important. So for example, doing connection between stuff, like sharing things, it's not always the thing that is natural for many engineers. And it's kind of an opportunity that we have here to take engineers and let them, hey, tell your story. People like to hear that you're good in what you're doing. Tell that and really encourage and enable them and, bring their stories and take them into places that I think is good to be at.
Yeah. So if the Tiny MC engineers are listening right now, please, I'm trying. I joined the company a little more than a year ago. I tried to do some videos with people, and it's a struggle. And I understand why. I mean, like being in front of a camera, like it can be difficult when you're not used to, or we're not like a attention seeker like myself and an extrovert. Like it's just easier for me, but for most people it's uncomfortable. But I think what you said also, it's important because sometimes, exactly as you said, I'm just going to repeat what you said, like you talk to engineers and you're like, hey, you have an amazing story, and I'm like, no, I'm just building this, like it's a technology that everybody knows, and like it's best practices that everybody in the industry use. And I'm like, yes, but no. I mean, you have like your own story, and you're gonna bring your own like sauce to like your secret recipe to how you do this and how you deliver that. And it's like when I talk to people that want to start blogging and I want to start to create videos or technical content, they're like, yeah, but there's already content about that out there. Yes, everything exists on the internet. There's nearly nothing new, but just do it, because you're going to have your own approach. You're going to like the way you're going to say that story, the way you're going to explain that tutorial may resonate more with a certain person than like the other content that is already out there. And there's place for everyone. So I like that. I like that for you, that job helped you get out a little bit of your comfort zone. But I think what you highlight too is really important. Like, people need to be respectful of their limit, and they need to be respectful of other people's limit too. Because for me, I'm a social extrovert. So going to an event and talking to people from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., I'm good. A little less now because I've been doing that for 14 years and I'm getting older. So now sometimes I need to go back to the hotel room and just be quiet and take it a little bit easy, and like even ordering food and I don't know, watching Netflix or something. But still, it doesn't drain me that much compared to like other people. So for me, I was going to the conference and we had like, I don't know, the conference party. And after that, I was like, hey, let's do something else with the people. I want to do something else because I still had energy. And we talked about that with other guests. I talked about that. Also was invited at the Dev Leader podcast. And one of the things I said is that at first, when I started to do that job, I thought that maybe it's naive or stupid from me, but like I thought that every developer advocates, or we're called technical evangelists or developer evangelists at the time, were all extrovert, because that's kind of like a quite of an extrovert type of job. Like, you're in front of the camera, you're on the stage in front of people, you're connecting, talking to people all the time, you're on booth duty at conference, and again, pitching your product, talking to people about what they do. Now, obviously, many years into it, I understand that like it's like there's other type of people doing that job. But yeah, as you said, it drains you much. It takes you much more energy. But like, good again for doing that.
I think so. 2 points that important. The first one is like, know your limits. I think that's the best advice for people who want to get to that. I know like that I can be a very good booth buddy, like giving pitches for a whole day. I'm enjoying that. Like, I'm meeting new people. It's very good for me. But I also know that I need my breaks. I need to, to take the time. I need to understand where my social batteries start to drain, and I need to recharge it, etc. The second point, which I think is very important, you mentioned like the tiny MCE and the developers that you're trying to say. Nowadays, with like content production became a commodity. Like, you can tell Claude or whatever, like you loved model to tell a story and they will tell it. And the only thing that we left in that stories is like the human touch. It's like how you did it. What is your voice about it? How did you approach as a person that problem? And I wouldn't say luckily, because for people who got CEOs and CEOs on their neck say, hey, I want you to produce tons of content with AI. It's not that easy, but social platform now promote you if you bring like your human voice. Substack, for example, last week they integrate Pangram, which is a platform. I don't think it worked well, because there is definitely things that I wrote as a human and it says it's completely AI, but so be it. They started to promote more content that ranked as a human, and you can see that as LinkedIn. Even like LinkedIn, where always feels like a feed of AI slop, they still, some of the slop there because you know the people. But if you look at the engagement and the things that LinkedIn pays you, it's really on the stuff that bring the human voice, bring like your authentic voice, your like authentic approach, and the way you look at things. And definitely, I think it's super important now, like to be more humans, right? If this is what we have here, the interactions that we have here, and how we should do DevRel and how we should organic, make people interest about our product, about our companies, etc.
Yeah, no, agree. So we're DevRel people. We can talk forever. I guess it's time at that part of the show where we move to the demo. But even before we move to demo, because you wanted to show us one of your, product on GitHub, Narrio, if I remember. Just before that, I would love for you to talk to us about one other of your project, CFP Radar.
Yeah. So I were always like the person that people ask, hey, where you find your CFP. For many years, they have this couple of tabs that I've used the Arc browser. It's became less and less popular nowadays.
Yeah.
But for me, I haven't found a replacement yet because of the profiles and the tabs, etc. And at some point, I say, why should I use my tabs if I can just build a website that aggregate that? And then I built actually for myself. I'm just using it myself. CFP Radar, it scrapes the internet every day using GitHub Action. I think when you do some sort of production, you can definitely use GitHub Action as your backend. So once a day, it do a scraping on session eyes and paper call or whatever it is in the internet. So it's fully automatic. I think as of today, this is the largest CFP directory out there. I haven't seen one larger than that, but if you know one, please tell me and I'll integrate that to this one. And definitely, the internet is public, so I'm just taking the stuff here. And I think, so it gives you like a comprehensive list of CFPs, which I think is very cool. And also give you, I think, one of the most important, if you are still not working as a DevRel or just trying, to visit Norway at the longest day of the year, give you also a way to filter by flight covered and hotel covered. And then you can see like conferences that actually pay for flights and hotel. You can filter it just by hotels. You can filter it just by flight. I'll say that here, many meetups somehow understood as my model as one that pays. So it always have these 2 to 3, like you see the user groups here that they understand they are, but I'm not invest that much in being very sensitive about the results here. So you can filter by that, but you can also filter by the event date. You can also filter by the close time. I think this is my dogfooding project. This is the way that I'm submitting CFP. This is the way that I found CFPs. And I also built that a cool one. It uses a very cheap open router model because I don't have anything that, pays for this project. But you can, every time that I'm bringing a CFP into the CFP Radar, I also, put it into a RAG. And then if you want to search something for you, whatever it is, like I want to give a talk about what you see is what you get, editors. And then you can match my talk. As I said, it would take a little because this is not the best and most fastest model here.
Yeah.
But usually it brings some nice results. I'm using that. And if you're opening an account, then it also saves your searches and give you more conferences if you actually have one search and give you more conferences as they appear. So as I said, CFP directory, I really love to see people signed up because, it's always fun to see people using your product. And just use it if you want, or send me like improvement. I think one thing that I want to add now is the ability to adopt your CFP text into specific conferences. This is something that 3 people already asked me. They said like, we have the CFP, and I think this is also connected to the point of you have something interesting to share. I think the best conferences, the best talk CFPs or the best talks at conferences are the ones that came after a story that you experienced yourself, like something that you did and no one else did to some sort, right? Or the angle that you see. And writing a CFP is it's another layer. It's not something that everyone get easy to do. And I think if your story is good enough and you're not cheating in the CFP, that's okay if Claude is writing your CFP. Of course, just avoid the M dashes, because then the detectors will detect it and they will not accept your talk. But I got a requirement from some people to have something here that take a look on the conference or the history of the conference and see what a CFP that won there, and then take your story as details as you wish and build you the right CFP to submit there. So I'm now thinking about adding that, but if anyone's seeing that and has some more proposals, I'd love to hear. I would open source this one, but because it's a very AI slap project, I'm really shy to release it as an open source. And I'm like, it used my Open Router keys.
Yeah.
Open Router is a very cool product. So I'm like, okay, I'll just send that to me and I'll transfer it to Claude and try to add whatever you need there. So this is the CFP Radar. Regarding Narrio, this is also a kind of a project that I completely created with AI. I didn't write any code there, but I think it's interesting, and I open sourced it. I make it public on GitHub because of a reason. The reason is that we always trying to think how would a code project would look like in 1 year from now, 2 years from now. But first, let's see what is Narrio. So now we have AI that write the code for us and open the PR for us and review the PR for us, but we still want to know and understand what happened in the code base. And for many, reading the slop that AI is generating for us is really hard. For me, like consuming videos for such things, so like for understand what is going on in a repository is very easy to do via videos. And again, I created Narrio for myself. That would be a fun project to work on. And I really like when I want to turn off my brain, I learn things via YouTube Shorts. This is, I think, the only platform where you can find short videos that are not brain rot. So yeah, the others start with something that you learn new and then get you into really turn off your brain to do nothing. But anyway, I think video is a very powerful medium for us to track and follow the amount of data that AI is generating for us. And this is a very experimental project that you give Narrio a PR link, like a link to a PR, and it generates you a video that explains and summarize what the PR is. So, for example, if we'll go, I'll share now a video. So, for example, we have here a PR in Grafana. I'm just taking public
or renaming
PR
a nested
and
folder.
Create you.
I just stopped the video because there's audio. So do you want me to mute the audio or
No. Just start it with the audio.
Creating or renaming a nested folder now happens inside a single database transaction. The legacy dashboard write and the new folder table write either both land or neither does. Before this, the dashboard row was saved first and the folder row second as two independent writes. If the second failed, the folder existed in one table and not the other, permanently inconsistent with no rollback. Both create and update wrap their store calls in a transaction closure, so any error aborts the whole thing. Create also stops.
Yeah, I think that's enough to understand what Narrio is doing. So you can use it with CLI, with keys to Open Router and file to create the audio, or you can use it with Claude Code or whatever it is. You can see at the repo there is a lot of guides how to use that as part of your usual workflow with with Claude Code or with Codex, or just with the CLI, again, with the API key. One of the coolest things I think about Narrio that I want to bring as an engineer is the way that we are now, we are speaking a lot about the fact that we are not writing code in a coding language anymore. So not writing in JavaScript and not writing in, in Python. we are writing in English. And I think a real AI native project is a kind of a project that built to write code in English. So in Narrio is based on a library called Remotion. Remotion is a library that allows to create videos using React components. But I'm not writing the Narrio components. What I'm writing is the skills and the commands that create the Narrio components. For example, we can see here, Narrio has templates. This is the baseline of Narrio. A template can be, for example, if you go to the library, it can be, for example, a code walk, like the component. These components should be written by human. And as you can see here, they are long. They are look like Claude-based. I never wrote this kind of code comment. But the most important thing in Narrio, the human written one, or like the human inspect one, are the prompt MD, like the markdown file that actually explain what a template is doing. And then there is a very large library of skills here that create the video production. So, for example, we have the Narrio visual designer, and we have the template architect, which I think is one of the most important ones. And Narrio is built on a way, let me show that in the README. Narrio is built on a way that we have a, where's that? The way that now it works, it do the fetching, and then it gate the PR to see if that works, and then it build the storyboard. From the storyboard, it built the beat planning, like how it would look like. Then it built the scenes, which scene is something that you might add more of that. So, for example, if you see that PRs in JavaScript could benefit from a scene that, I don't know, look on the object classification, then you can add another scene to Narrio, like you create another API endpoint. And then there are templates. Templates are the visual stuff. But you never build that yourself. The way you build it is just in English. You are not coding Narrio like in IDE as you wish you do with editing code. You are building Narrio with working with coding agent and writing in English. And I think thinking about software, so for example, if you have a software with API endpoints, then and it's a native AI project, you probably should have a good skill on how to create APIs. And at some point, you shouldn't write at any sort Python or JavaScript, or even be care about what language this is written for. And this is my experimental thing, I think, with Narrio and understanding how modern software will be written with completely AI workflows. So again, this is a very experimental project for me. I'm really like enthusiastic about the capabilities of LLMs to generate videos not as visual generation, so not like the video models, but as explainer videos. As there is a lot of cool things that people do with 3JS for creating assets and stuff like that, and then use programmatic interfaces to generate videos in a very cheap way, because the tokens are way less than generating real video from real pictures. If you can just share them from components or from 3D elements and etc. So if you want to try to do stuff with that, you're definitely invited, to fork it, to try to create some videos if you feel that is exciting, to share friends with like, hey, see, here's a video that summary the ugly PR that you just delivered. Narrio is here, and I'd love to get comments and see what people are thinking about it.
Awesome. I mean, the DevRel show is where Narrio is being launched publicly. It was private until a couple of minutes ago, because I tried before the show and I was like, yeah, it does not exist. I'm like, yeah, I know it exists. So it's just private.
I think there's also a very developer relation thing. I mentioned that. I think one of it's very personal. I will not speak in the name of others, but as developers, it's really hard for us to see something that is not finished, that is not complete, that is small, that is MVP. We always, want to get to the fancy stuff that work. I don't know. And for me, like the first piece after I started at Permit.io, it took me 3 months to deliver my first blog post. And then at 2024, I think I deliver 60 blog posts. So like more than once a week, and all of them were technical blog posts. So for me, like as part of the thing with DevRel is to understand how you release stuff that are not finished yet, that are just, the small MVP that just put it out. It would not like burn your name to see people, for people to see that you created some code with AI agents. Everyone is doing it, right? And I was like, I'm playing with Narrio, I'm creating stuff with that, I'm helping myself. Like if I'm having some large PRs that I want to get, I'm just using Narrio to create video. And I'm like, when you ask what you want to demonstrate, I said, hey, that's a good point to release Narrio, whatever it will be. Like, even if it sucks, even if it's like not create videos that looks good, just put it out. Maybe someone will enjoy that, and
exactly, and it's
beneficial.
Yeah, and it's the best way also to, when we use our own product, we know how to use it and use it in a certain way. So having someone else to try it, maybe they're going to find issues that you didn't know about. Maybe they're going to have features idea that they didn't thought about. Mm-hmm. And it's great to get feedback. So sometimes, yeah, as you said, it's also frightening. You put code out there and it's your name attached to it, and developers, we are quite judgy too. We judge other people. We judge other people's code. So that was part of like this is what I'm trying to do when I once in a while I give a talk about like how to start to contribute to open source, and because it's scary. So it's a little bit like that, like putting your things out there. But thanks for doing that. I kind of like forced Gabriel to do it. It's my fault, but like I think it's a good thing because I said on the show my only rule about the demo. I want to be usually something technical, but if it's a product, if it's a software, a service, my only rule is that like the listener can try it, whether it's free or it's a trial, or it's a limited edition, or like people need to be able to try it, because there's not much point if we show something and like the people listening to the DevRel show cannot try it after, or they have absolutely right away to pay. I'm like, no, I'm a believer that like you need to be able to try stuff. In your case, it's free, it's open source. But thanks for doing that. I appreciate that. Also, thanks for doing CFP Radar, because there's a lot of events out there, but like if you need to go to all websites or all those like directories out there, like it may be complicated. But I didn't know. I really like the feature about flight and or hotel covered. Because most DevRel people, we're lucky enough that like because it's our job to speak at conferences, usually the company is going to have a budget. Yeah. It can be small, it can be big, but usually if we speak at an event, it's part of our job, which means that the company or employer is going to pay for it. So for me, I don't pay when I go to an event, so I'm really privileged for that. But it's also my job. But when I started to do public speaking, I was a developer and I was doing it for fun. And I was only doing events in my city because it was like, hey, as much as I would like to, I'm like, I won't pay flight and hotel to do public speaking. And there is benefits for your employer, even if you're not a developer advocate. There's benefit for an employer for them to send you at events to do public speaking and talk, even if it's not about your product. You're still representing the company. But sometimes it's harder to find, budget for reasons. So. And there's not a lot of conferences out there that cover those, but it's great that you have that option in your CFP Radar to dev. So on that note, I have a couple of things because I think it brings us to the end of the show. First, it's a reminder, if you were there last week, I told you I'm going to be in Istanbul in June. It's for vacation. Why I'm sharing my vacation? First, if you're in Istanbul, just let me know. Always happy to meet people. I'm a social person, so always I will find time to have. I'm really in slow motion right now. I really need to fix that camera thing that's annoying me so much. My webcam does not do that, so I don't know what's happening. Anyway, so if you're in Istanbul, let me know. I will find time to have a coffee with you, a drink. I don't drink, but I love going to bars. There's always non-alcoholic version or dinner or whatever. Also, I know it's very limited in August. Usually everything is dead. But like if you are in Istanbul and organizing a conference or a meetup, let me know while I'm there. I will be happy to give a talk that is already created because it's still vacation. So I'm not going to create like a talk for an event while I'm off, but I would be happy to go to an event while I'm on vacation because I do not know the next time I'm going to be in Turkey. So that's going to be an opportunity for me to give a talk there. Also, if you're listening or if you're watching the recording, I'm really excited about that. There is, you may or may not know, we are developers. They're the folks, the friendly folks behind the We Are Developers World Congress events. They do one in North America, they do one in Europe, and I think they do one in Asia, but I'm not quite sure about this one. Maybe I'm saying stupid things. But the friend Christian, who was the first guest on the DevRel show, Christian Eman, send me code. So if you go, oh no, that's not the right link. Sorry. I do my short link. It's not working. I do my short links on my own website with just HT access because that's a static site generator. But GitHub had issue with GitHub Actions today. So basically, when I published that before the show, the action was never published. So I was not able to get that link. So give me 1 second while I'm trying to upload the new link. But yeah, I had to use Bitly because GitHub Action was not working before the show. Maybe they fix it now, but I was not able to redeploy my website. And you know what? That's crazy. I'm just thinking about it. I could have just SSH and the server update htaccess myself, but I'm so used right now that I just do a publish code on my repo. It automatically deploy to my website. And now, just to be sure I'm not doing something stupid, I'm gonna try that link, but it's a Bitly, so it should be good. Yeah, wonderful. No, it says I have the wrong address again. Oh no, it's because I copy paste the bad root thing. Yeah. Anyway, that's working. This one. Sorry, I'm blabbering now. That's a really bad promotion for World Congress, what I'm doing right now. But what I was going to say is, Christian was the first guest. He helped me, start the show with all the amazing things that Chris does. Anyway, he's one of the organizer, and they're doing an event in North America. So the World Congress North America is going to happen in San Jose, in the US on 23rd to 25th of September. And with that code, so if you go on bit.ly oh my God, that's a long day, /DevRel we are developers, you're going to have a 30% discount, which is amazing, for the Congress Pass. So that's the pass that gives you access to all the talks and all the workshops and everything. My understanding it is. Unfortunately, I won't be able to be there because I haven't done events, but I definitely put the World Congress on my list of events that I want to speak at for next year. But knowing Chris, knowing the amazing brand behind that conference, We're Developers, you will have fun at that event. So go check that URL here, and you're going to get 30% off your pass. It's in September, so you probably need to book your ticket soon before the runoff of ticket. So that was ticket. That was one of the things I wanted to share with you, and I'm going to keep it there just another second just to be sure you see it. So 30% for you for the conference. And as I said, after Friday, I'm going for vacation for about 2.5 weeks. As much as I like doing the DevRel show, I'm not going to doing the DevRel show while I'm going to be on vacation. Even if there's a little part of the vacation is going to be staycation, a big part is going to be in Istanbul. So I'm going to visit, have great coffee, pet all the cats that are in Istanbul, which may or may not have influenced my decision to take vacation there. But anyway, once I'm back in about 3 weeks, and I forget the exact date, but my next guest for the next episode of DevRel Show is going to be Maria from NVIDIA. She's lovely. I worked with her at a previous startup and a previous life. We're representing different product, DevRel stuff and different product, but owned by the same company. So it's going to be another great episode with Maria. So join us in about 3 weeks. Follow me on social media. You're going to be able to see when is the next show, or you know what, just hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. On that note, I'm done blabbering. Gabriel, do you have any last word, last sentence before we end that episode of the DevRel Show?
Yeah, it's a really pleasure to be here. I'll say that we are developers. I think that's the best developer community event of the world. I've been to Berlin, I think twice. We sponsored that as Permit. I think that was the best show we haven't been. I'd say that usually in the US, like the local community conferences are very community driven. So one thing that I really like is Code Mesh, which is in Ohio, and there is another one, I can't remember now the name, but the largest one are less community, they are more commercial. We Are Developers is like 10K developer in a real community-driven motion. And I hope they will succeed to keep this motion in the US too, because this is a very European thing to do, multicultural and multinational, and keep it community thing. So yeah, best wishes for them to keep the US vibes the same as it is in Europe, and yeah, I wish I could be there, but I wouldn't be there too.
Yeah, no, I'm sad about it. Chris told me like too late. I already had like other events planned, but definitely, hopefully, I'm going to be able to attend maybe the European one or US. I don't do a lot of events in the US. I do a lot of more events in Europe, which is weird because I live in Canada, North America, so US is closer. But yeah, for reasons. Anyway, on that note, thanks a lot, Gabriel, for being a guest on the show. That was a pleasure to have you. That was a pleasure. Great discussion, great insight, and thanks everybody who joined us live. Thanks for the people watching the recording, and I wish you a great end of the day. And see you in about 3 weeks for the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Great.